In the summer of 1941, Nazi Germany and its Axis allies commenced Operation Barbarossa. They invaded the Soviet Union intending to eradicate communism and replace the populace with German citizens. The offensive marked a massive escalation of World War II. It brought the USSR into the Allied coalition, then led to the Battle of Stalingrad. The Battle of Stalingrad is recognized as one of the bloodiest conflicts in human history and epitomized urban warfare. Victory was achieved by the Allies thanks to the newly formed Cobra unit, an elite team of soldiers enhanced with superhuman abilities. Many refer to this event as a major turning point in the war. The Cobras completed a number of highly confidential missions throughout the course of the war. These operations were so classified that the unit was prohibited from taking prisoners or leaving behind corpses, including their own. In the event of a member's death, a microbomb attached to the body would detonate. The boss, leader of the Cobras, was the only one not equipped with an explosive. Without the Cobras' contributions in the European theater, the Allies never would have won World War II. The Cobras continued to cement themselves as legends until they were disbanded in 1947. They would not reunite again until the end of Virtuous Mission. Virtuous Mission was a CIA operation held during the height of the Cold War. The objective was to retrieve a defecting weapons scientist named Nikolai Sokolov from behind the Iron Curtain. A Fox agent codenamed Naked Snake was deployed via the first ever Halo jump to achieve this goal. Assisting Snake on his mission was a skilled support team. Serving as the team's mission advisor was the boss. Snake and the boss were incredibly close. For a decade, the two trained rigorously together and developed CQC. Without the boss, Snake would have been less of a soldier. Even Snake is aware of this, as he has claimed part of him belongs to the boss. Virtuous Mission marked the first time the duo had talked in 5 years. After locating and retrieving Sokolov, Snake ran into the boss on a suspension bridge. In the ultimate act of betrayal, the boss defected to the Soviet Union and faced her apprentice as an enemy. She reunited the Cobras, captured Sokolov, then threw Snake off the bridge, leaving him in a critical condition. As a gift to her new hosts, the boss brought a Davy Crockett with her. Using this weapon, Colonel Volgin launched a nuke into the OKB-754 research facility. The US was blamed for the incident because the MC-130E that served Snake's support team was picked up on radar. The failure of Virtuous Mission was so catastrophic that discussions were held to execute Snake and Major Zero. This of course would not come to fruition, as the two would participate in Operation Snake Eater. The aim of this operation was to assassinate all members of the Cobra unit and to eliminate the threat posed by the nuclear-armed Shagohod weapon. Beneath the surface, however, this mission was seeking to accomplish much more.
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Hello my friends, and welcome to Snake Meal, the channel that puts a spotlight on your favorite baddies. Today we will be covering Metal Gear Solid 3, and I could not be more excited. This game holds a very special place in my heart and even influenced the name of this channel. As always, before we begin, remember to drop a like, subscribe, And let's kick this video off by discussing the pain. Each Cobra unit member was named after the emotion they brought into battle. Collectively, they represented the spectrum of emotions a soldier could experience while fighting. The Pain received his namesake by utilizing Hornet swarms in combat. This odd choice in weaponry placed the Pain in a constant state of agony as he would be continuously stung. Luckily, the Hornet soldier's suffering was slightly offset by an adrenaline-releasing parasite that infected his body at an unknown point in time. Said parasite is what granted the Pain his signature ability of insect manipulation. It allowed the soldier to secrete hormones that influenced a variety of creepy crawlies. The Pain's control over his bug armies was not absolute, however. To gain the extra edge, the Pain brought a queen bee into battle with him. The sound of the queen bee's wings assisted him in guiding the hornets. The Pain used his hornets in many clever ways. He would send them to deliver grenades, cover his body in a layer of armor, and create clones of himself to confuse enemies. Living inside of the Pain were special hornets called bullet bees. It should be noted that hornets are not bees. Bullet bees are incredibly fast and dangerous. They launched out of the Pain's mouth and would bury themselves into their prey to consume their insides. The Fear's freakish appearance and movements brought great terror to his opponents. Surgery gifted the soldier with double-jointed elbows, a forked tongue, and reptilian eyes. The Fear's joints allowed him to maneuver around complicated environments with ease. This ability, in conjunction with the Fear's inclination to use ziplines in combat, appropriately gave him the moniker of the Spider Soldier. The camouflage suit the Fear wore is a reference to the 1987 classic Predator. It bent light around its wearer to render them virtually invisible. Unfortunately, the technology was still in its experimental stage, so the suit rapidly drained stamina. The Spider Soldier was often forced to pause mid-combat and eat as a result. Snake is able to exploit this weakness by throwing poisonous food around the battlefield. During the End's fight with Snake, he was over 100 years old. The acclaimed sniper was born sometime in the 1860s and was a veteran of many wars. He's become known as the father of sniping for originating all of the sniping techniques known at the time. The End's talent never required him to enter battle with a spotter. However, his pet parrot would occasionally operate as one. Similar to the Pain, the End had been infected by a parasite as well. The End's parasite greatly increased his lifespan, heightened his perception, and gifted him a photosynthetic body. By soaking up the sun's rays, the ancient sniper could remain still for weeks at a time without needing to eat. His connection with his powers was so deep that the moss attached to his ghillie suit would change color to reflect his well-being. All my history nerds out there may already be aware that the End's Mosin Nagant was a Russian bolt-action rifle used in both world wars. The End modified his gun to fire tranquilizer darts sometime after World War II. Unlike the vast majority of his peers, the End came to understand the value of a life in his many years of service. Despite his old age, the End possessed unnatural speed. This allowed him to quickly rotate sniping positions whenever spotted. Snake was forced to employ his thermal goggles and directional mic to track him down during their battle. When Snake finally defeated the End, his dentures hilariously flew out of his mouth before his microbomb detonated. Some remains of the End were recovered and studied years later by Code Talker. Through these remains and records of the Pain, Code Talker became aware of the parasite species known as the One That Covers. This parasite is the driving force behind Phantom Pain's story and greatly affected one of my all-time favorite characters in the series, Quiet. Yuri Gagarin is incorrectly credited as the first man to enter space. The Fury is the one who actually holds that honor. His accomplishment was likely covered up to not inform the world what happened during re-entry. While returning to Earth, an accident occurred that engulfed the Soviet cosmonaut in flames. During the experience, the Fury witnessed a vision of the Earth obscured by a wall of fire. The view turned the Fury to a pyromaniac and unleashed an unrelenting rage towards the world. During his battle with Snake, the Fury was equipped with a fireproof cosmonaut suit, a jetpack, and a specialized flamethrower. The flamethrower utilized a type of liquid rocket fuel that allowed flames to burn long after being ignited. There's not much evidence to suggest the Fury possessed supernatural abilities outside of the wild shit that happened when his microbomb went off. To cap off the Fury, here's a fun piece of trivia. The Fury's voice actor, Richard Doyle, returned to voice Big Boss in Metal Gear Solid 4. When the Sorrow was alive, he used his powers as a medium to dominate battlefields. By communicating with the dead, he collected vital intel such as enemy positions and could assume the combat abilities of spirits he brought into himself. These impressive powers would have no doubt helped the Cobras fight Snake had the boss not killed him. Before the boss put a bullet into the Sorrow's left eye, they were in a romantic relationship. The two were forced into the impossible decision of sacrificing their child or one another by the Philosophers. The Philosophers was a secret group composed of the wealthiest individuals from the US, Soviet Union, and China following the Great War. This group pulled the strings of powerful organizations to greatly influence global politics. The Sorrow submitted his life on the Virgin Cliffs to protect his son from the Philosophers. This is the same area where the boss tossed Snake off the bridge. The Sorrow's corpse can be seen awaiting extraction on the riverbank. Throughout Snake's time in the USSR, the Sorrow often appeared to relay useful information. In one instance, he revealed a key radio frequency, and in another, he displayed the remaining time left before C3 charges destroyed the Shagohod hangar. Snake encountered the Sorrow in the spiritual realm following his leap from a waterfall. He walked down a seemingly endless river and was forced to face the souls that died by his hand. Of course, if you played the game non-lethally, the only spirits you'll run into are from the Cobra unit. During Snake's pilgrimage through the water, the Sorrow shot rays at him that projected images of the latter's past and death. Whenever the Sorrow revealed himself, he would cry blood from his fatal wound and/or be smiling. Ironically, the boss, alternatively known as the Joy, rarely expressed any emotion that contrasted her methodical demeanor. The boss, alternatively known as the Joy, the Mother of Special Forces, Mercury Lady, and Voyevoda, was born in 1922. She was the daughter of an original high-ranking member of the Wise Men's Committee. Following the Great War, this committee formed the Philosophers. The group was created to help steer the world away from brutal, needless warfare. Despite their honorable intentions, the boss's father was needlessly murdered as a consequence for sharing Philosopher secrets with his daughter. The shadowy organization's morals would continue to degrade with the loss of each original Wise Men. Under the care of the Philosophers, the boss became an instructor at one of their charm schools. Eva, our favorite motorcycle riding badass, is a graduate from one of these schools. During World War II, the boss was recruited by the SAS as a special advisor. Serving in the British Army's Special Forces unit, she helped create the Lay Force military formation and the original L detachment. Continuing to greatly distinguish herself, the boss helped plan the dummy raids on Heliopolis and the bombings of German air bases during the North African campaign. She even formed the 22nd SAS Regiment with David O, better known as Zero, shortly after meeting him. Not all of the boss's accomplishments with the SAS were behind the desk. In the field, the boss participated in many snatch missions. The goal of these missions was to capture high-ranking officers without killing them. The experience the boss gained during these operations later served as the basis for CQC. In 1942, the boss formed the Cobra unit. With the Cobras, she learned how to snipe from the end, developed a relationship with the Sorrow, and led the group in many secret missions. The following year, the boss was ordered to infiltrate Los Alamos and assassinate one of the Manhattan Project scientists. Right before the operation commenced, the boss discovered she was pregnant with the Sorrow's child. Proceeding with the mission, she blew her cover due to her pregnancy and narrowly avoided a bullet to the gut. The bullet instead grazed her head and placed her in a 3-month coma. 3 months later, she completely recovered. However, her failure in the operation would later make her feel partially responsible for the Cold War. During the D-Day landings in 1944, the Cobras were tasked with destroying several V-2 rockets installed near Juno Beach. The boss entered labor with her child during the event after a bullet finally found her stomach. An emergency C-section was performed during the chaos, which left her with a large snake-shaped scar across her torso. Her newborn son was taken by the philosophers not long after. Later in life, this son would become known as Ocelot. Due to the rising tensions with the philosophers, the boss disbanded the Cobras in 1947. 4 years later, she was involved in the atomic testing in the Nevada desert. The radiation the boss was exposed to made her infertile. It was around this time that she met John, aka Snake, and grew close to the boy. The two trained together until 1959 when she left John to participate in a top-secret mission ordered by the president. To sabotage the Soviets' various space projects, the boss was selected to recruit Russian double agents to act on the US's behalf. The CIA refused to help the boss in the endeavor, forcing her to leverage philosopher spy channels. After successfully planting a sleeper agent, the CIA took over and claimed all the credit. Later, the boss discovered some of the blueprints the agent sent held some discrepancies. The CIA again ignored the boss after being informed of the issue. To get her own answers, the boss infiltrated the Soviet Union and discovered the agent had defected. Turns out the CIA was pocketing a large amount of the man's paycheck, which allowed the Sorrow to convert him to the USSR. When the boss reported her findings, the CIA blamed her to cover up their failures to the recently inaugurated JFK. Similar to the Fury, the boss was the first person to be sent into space by her nation and not be credited for the achievement. While in space, the boss's view of Earth sparked her dream of uniting the world as one. This dream would be misinterpreted by many in the years to come. On re-entry, her capsule veered off course and crash-landed into the ocean. She entered another coma after being thrown from her capsule and suffering severe burns. To cover up the accident, the US military claimed the boss took part in the botched Bay of Pigs invasion. The presidential administration resented the boss for this, as the Russians already had a widely publicized successful spaceflight. In 1962, the boss was forced into killing her lover by the philosophers. Later in the year, she formed a new CIA unit called Fox with Major Zero. 2 years later, this unit would be involved in Virtuous Mission. The secret objective of the operation was to recover the Philosopher's Legacy for the US. The Philosopher's Legacy was a slush fund of $100 billion collected by the philosophers sometime in World War II. To obtain the legacy, the boss betrayed the US to join Colonel Volgin's ranks. All was going accordingly until Volgin decided to launch a nuclear warhead. Volgin's rash decision caused the CIA to drastically revise the boss's mission in Operation Snake Eater. Following Snake's battle with Volgin atop the Shagohod, the elite soldier encountered his former mentor in a bed of white flowers. To ensure Snake would carry out his mission and eliminate her, the boss radioed Russian fighters to bomb the area. Finding cover from behind trees and engaging in CQC, Snake was able to defeat the legendary soldier. Laying in the bed of flowers, the boss handed Snake the Philosopher's Legacy and her iconic Patriot to strike the killing blow. The Patriot was a modified XM-16E1 whose bullets flipped and twisted after leaving the gun. After Snake pulled the trigger, the flowers surrounding the boss turned red. Nerds everywhere cried. With Operation Snake Eater complete, Snake and Eva finally released their built-up sexual tension. In the morning, Eva left a tape for Snake before departing with the stolen legacy. On the tape, Eva informed Snake that she and Ocelot made a promise to the boss not to harm him. She continued to explain that the boss knew her death was necessary to relieve tensions with the US and Soviets. The boss willingly destroyed her reputation and sacrificed her life in the name of peace. Inheriting the title of Big Boss, Snake left the US to create his own military organization. It's just as the boss had said before their battle.
I raised you. I loved you. I've given you weapons, taught you techniques, endowed you with knowledge. There is nothing more for me to give you. All that's left for you to take is my life, by your own hand. One must die, and one must live. No victory, no defeat. The survivor will carry on the fight. It is our destiny. The one who survives will inherit the title of boss. And the one who inherits the title of boss will face an existence of endless battle.
You've reached the end of this video, friend. Thank you so much for watching. Next time, we'll be traveling on over to Shadow Moses Island to learn about the sons of Big Boss. Subscribe so you don't miss out, and tell me who your favorite Cobra unit member is down in the comments. Anyways, stay safe out there, guys, and I'll see you next time.